All right, so let's run to federal investigators who have a reason to examine whether Donald Trump Jr., the eldest son of the president, broke campaign finance law when he attended that meeting with a Russian lawyer who he believed would offer damaging information about Hillary Clinton. These are legal experts. They're telling NBC News this information. Let's go to Byron Henry, attorney and constitutional scholar. Byron, thank you for coming on Trending Today USA.
Great to be with you, Ernie.
You know, I look at this story and I'm wondering what is different about Donald Trump Jr. meeting with somebody to find out information about a political opponent than anybody else doing the same thing in any campaign. Is there a difference?
Well, there could be a difference. It just depends on, because it's Donald Trump Jr. and the candidate was Donald Trump, you assume affiliation with the campaign. But first and foremost, Donald Trump Jr. was never formally affiliated with his father's campaign, at least not at that time. He just happens to be connected to him by blood, obviously. So that's the first problem. The second problem is taking a meeting to listen to somebody talk about potential information that could be damaging to your opponent is certainly not criminal. And I doubt that it breaks any campaign finance laws. Now, if they were passing information of value, meaning monetary value, such as poll results or things that the campaign would otherwise have to pay for, so that taking that information is relieving the campaign of having to pay for something they otherwise would have had to buy, such as goods or services, that's one thing. But simply taking a meeting and not buying what the other side's selling, listening to it and saying, I'm not interested, or there's nothing there, or whatever, this was a waste of time. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that that's going to go any further than the left argument that Donald Trump somehow obstructed justice. It's just a stretch and likely not a crime, based on what we know now.
Then what are legal experts telling NBC News that, oh, yeah, this is possibly breaking campaign finance laws? But on what do they base that opinion?
Well, they base it on the campaign finance law, which basically prohibits receiving anything of value, money or something else of value, from foreign nationals with respect to an election. So basically, that's the traditional prohibition on foreign nationals contributing or giving money to campaigns. We know we have that prohibition. You can't take money from foreign nationals, and that's the provision they're talking about. And they're basically saying, one, it's like a campaign because it's the candidate's son, and it is something of value because it's something that's worth something, meaning it's information that has value. And there's a couple opinions out there that say information can be something of value. But it is a very big stretch to say that basically taking a meeting with someone and listening to someone about what they may have is actually obtaining something of value from a foreign national in connection with the campaign.
You know,
it's just very difficult.
Byron, one of the reasons that this whole thing, I'm just sitting here scratching my head thinking to myself, you know, back in the 90s, there were plenty of accusations, and there was evidence, too, that the Clinton campaign was taking money from China. Not just information, but money from China to run their campaign. I mean, he was beholden to that country. And nobody really, people made jokes about it, but nobody made this big of a deal out of it.
That's clearly prohibited and against campaign finance laws, and that's obviously not what we have here. What we have is one of those situations where the left is trying and hoping so badly that there's some kind of crime that can be hung around President Trump or one of his children, or Donald Trump Jr. in this respect, that they're basically dreaming that, you know, some prosecutor out there might try to make a case against Donald Trump Jr. for taking an illegal campaign contribution. But there's a lot of hurdles to overcome, and it is no stronger than the case that they tried to make where Donald Trump telling, you know, the former CIA director to drop the Flynn prosecution if he can, which Trump is constitutionally allowed to do. That obstruction case has similar hurdles. So in this case, it's a lot of wishful thinking on their part. I believe at this point, based on what we know, there's just nothing that the Trump campaign took from a foreign official that would qualify under the statute. And certainly Donald Trump Jr., who wasn't even part of the campaign, didn't take anything. He just took a meeting. So very, very difficult to connect the dots there and turn that into a crime at this point.
Yeah, the strange thing through all of this, I've seen that the left is just desperately trying to hang any wreath around the Trump campaign and any of his people they can. What I don't understand is why, what they're hoping to gain from this. People love or they hate Donald Trump. That's the way it is. It was the same thing with Hillary Clinton. They loved her or they hated her. There is no middle ground. There is not the reasonable middle that so many people talk about. And so let's say they do hang a wreath, and the guy and he gets in trouble for it. Whose mind is that going to change?
It's not going to change anyone's mind, and it's not Donald Trump himself. So the only way it affects the presidency is peripherally, in that it affects Donald Trump because it's his son. And I think what you're seeing here is not just that there's no middle ground. There's a difference between middle ground and simply not disliking a president or a person vehemently, but also accepting that you lost an election and this is the president and you need to work harder to elect a different president. This is a new level of not accepting Donald Trump as the legitimate president of the United States. The whole hashtag not my president, he didn't get as many votes as Hillary Clinton. This is another level of basically not accepting the results of an election and the peaceful transfer of power. It's more than just we didn't care for, if you're on the right, you couldn't stand Barack Obama. Everybody acknowledged that Barack Obama was the president. He was the legitimately elected president, and although they didn't like him, this is another level. And I think it's very unhealthy to start protesting the results of an election and someone elected. And it's not something I think that's going to last to the midterms. But for now, they're still hot to trot with this whole idea that Donald Trump was illegitimately elected.
All right, Byron Henry, attorney and constitutional scholar, with us on Trending Today USA. Byron, we'll keep our eye on it. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.